Hello everyone. Just going to clean this camera. Hold on. There we go. Hi everyone. Sorry, I am 2 minutes late. I thought it was 6:30, the live. Anyway, let me let Zana in. Hold on a sec. Oh, yep, she's not asking yet. Hi everyone. Hi Linda. Hi Lulu. Hi Margot. Waiting for Zana, but you're all dying to hear about this plan that I've been doing and how it's all going. Hi Wickerwood Farm. Hi love. Oh, there we go. Strong view requests. Here we go. Hold on a minute. Make myself look presentable. Right. Got your white makeup bag here today. Here she is. Hi,
hello.
Sam. How you doing?
We got it this time round. I'm doing well. How are you?
Good.
More to the point.
Right.
How are you?
What's that?
Good. More to the point.
Yeah,
how are you?
I'm fine. Feeling good. Feeling good.
Good.
You're a little bit fuzzy. Wait a minute. Let me just turn the comments on. Can everybody see Zana, or is it just me that I can see you, but you're a little bit fuzzy. That's all. But it might be me. Let's see what everybody says. Can you let me know if you can see us both, people? Hi, Wendy. Let's have a look. There's a few people here that said they've started the plan. Oh, Yvonne says you're fuzzy. You're fuzzy. Says someone else.
Oh yes, I can see. Everyone's saying I'm fuzzy. I can see I'm fuzzy.
You're fuzzy.
No. Should I come out and come in again? Let me come out and come in again and see if that works.
All right then. See you in a minute. Bye.
Gosh, I've got a lot of fuzzies.
See you in a minute.
I'll disappear and let's see if a second time round works.
Okay. Right, hold on a minute. Right. Request to join. Right, here we go. No, not yet. Still useless on this. Hey there. Okay. Please let Zana not be fuzzy. She should be coming any second. Oh, that's better. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's not a million times better, but it's a bit better.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
I think it is the internet here. Apologies.
That's all right. I wonder, sometimes I take my internet off and just have 4G and it's a lot better.
No, that's what I'm working off, the 4G.
Oh, okay, got you.
Because the internet it drops out, so I've done it onto my 4G.
Okay.
And it's clearly not strong enough. I do apologize. I'm not sure if I can make it any better.
That's all right. Let's go. Let's carry on. And if it gets any worse, we'll have to, do something. But I can hear you clearly at the moment. Can everybody hear Zana properly? At least you can hear her. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear Zana. Just talk, Zan, so that we can.
I can talk. Yes. Well, you usually have to get me to stop talking.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you hear me? It's a big question. Yes.
Yeah. I can hear you fine. That's really just a bit fuzzy. That's all. But anyway, okay, people can hear you. That's good.
Brilliant.
Right. So
apologies about the picture.
Right. So now I'm like, right, let's talk about it quick before it goes. Okay. So it's been, how long has it been since I started the plan?
Sorry, it's not that long.
But no, so that was 9 days. I did the plan for 9 days. And then I swapped to what we're going to talk about for about 5 days, didn't I?
Yeah.
And then I've kind of gone back a little bit again because it's all trial and error. All trial and error.
We're modifying it. We're modifying it. Apologies. I have to say this. My brain went completely left field when you said how long is it. I'm Catholic, and all I could think of was my last confession was the only line that was coming into my head when you were saying that. Apologies. Nothing to do with it. It's my Irish background speaking, I'm afraid. Yes. Well, we've obviously you've done the initial high fat, and we've had a look at it then and modified it and gone in a slightly different direction. And I think we were having a very nice, interesting conversation, which I thought was great, I have to say. Yeah. Where we're discussing the pros and cons to whether or not to stay on a plan like this.
Yeah, so I'll explain what happened for me, and then we can just talk about what we discussed. So I did I did 9 days on the plan, and it was 8 to 10 days, wasn't it? By day 9, I like couldn't bear the sight of any more cream cheese and avocado. But there's a big but. My head felt amazing. I felt on top of the world. It was as if all those high fats was feeding my brain, and I was just happy. I had loads of energy. I was sleeping well. I mean, really happy, really jolly, really light-hearted. Like, such a tremendous difference. It was amazing. Okay. I obviously lost some weight, and I've been doing the fitness side of things as well. But the brain power that I got from that was amazing. But there's a little but. I was then getting to the point where I was craving some bread. I wanted some bread, not sweets or anything. I'd lost my sugary cravings, but I wanted some bread. So I texted you, didn't I, Zan? I said I'm having a really bad day. I was really tired, and I wanted some bread. And I ate the bread. I ate the sourdough bread with some big loads of butter on it. And then it was time to change the plan up, wasn't it? To a medium fat, medium protein, low carb. Because you told me that I could stay on the high fat diet. You know, I could stay on it for as long as I wanted to, because I was feeling these amazing benefits in my head. But physically, I was craving some carbs.
And I think also, yeah, there was the more the issue really was, you can stay on it. And oh my gosh, I've had people stay on it for months, and quite frankly, a variation of it for years. It's how they would live. And I think I mentioned this, that a friend of mine, a colleague of mine who has a gym in LA, and he would encourage people onto high fats, and he would encourage them to stay on it for life. That would be his point of view on it. The main reason I only look at it as an 8 to 10 day blitz with clients is because our lifestyles on this side of the pond, as we like to say, tend to be vastly different. It's very hard. We've got we're socially driven around our food and our alcohol, dare I say, that for most to stay on a plan like this is very challenging from a social perspective. And the worst thing to do is to mix it. So you really don't want a mulched plan. That's when it doesn't work.
Absolutely.
So it was important, if you're going to keep steering off it, that we have to make a decision. Now, there's variation of a high fat where you will get people that will do what they call a carb day once or twice a week, but they're very strict on the other days. And I found over time with clients, there's only a very small handful, very small, that have the mental willpower to do that and get back on it properly. Most end up with this in between land, and then you're just on a mega calorie, mega fat plan, which everything we've been taught is bad for us about that is bad about that, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely.
So we had to make a choice. And on that basis, as I suspected you might be a social person, like,
I mean, I haven't, to be honest, I haven't missed the alcohol. I haven't missed the alcohol. That's been all right, because I'm a big tea and coffee drinker, so that makes up for that. But what I think what I was saying to you was, I feel like it's you can't have both. Like, I can't have that amazing brain power happiness from the high fat and have the carbs, because it just doesn't work. Because I went to the mild carbs, didn't I? And I just didn't feel as switched on and as top of the world as I did on all the purely high fat. And it's like such a shame you've got to make that decision. It's like, well, you know, I want the feeling of that, but I still want to eat a bit of bread. And you could have occasional bread and a high fat, but occasional being the operative word. You couldn't do it every day, otherwise, in my experience, your cholesterol and all the rest would go up, and again, you're into a danger zone. You kind of have to pick your poison, but in this case, pick your medicine, if you like, choose. So yes, so we made a decision to go into middle road, which is still going to be vastly different to what you were doing before, I think, in terms of the sugar reaction in the body. So I still think on this one, your energy will be good, your brain power will still be good, if not quite as superwoman as you like when you're on a high fat, because a high fat can really, those fats can have a huge impact on the brain functioning. Quite dramatic. Unbelievably. Like, I cannot believe, like, I can't believe it, how I was feeling. And you know, like, what I was going to say was, so you moved me over to introducing some good carbs and some more protein, didn't you? And I did that for 5 days, and I said to you, I'm just not feeling as good as I was. So we've rejigged it again, haven't we? So should we tell everyone what I'm doing now?
But go for it. You tell them.
Okay.
You tell them what you're doing now.
Right.
Yes.
So what I'm doing now is I'm staying on the high fat diet Monday to Friday. And then at the weekends, I'm going to bring my fats down, have some good carbs, and bring the protein up a bit. And I'll do that twice a week if I feel okay, you know, but no more than twice a week, because as you say, the cholesterol levels will blunder and stuff like that. So, you know, and I am strict with myself. I can't be like that, but I do appreciate how you said so many people, if you give them this option, they creep out of it, and then it's all downhill, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's what you've got to watch for. But if you can do it, and that's the way I used to, quite frankly, that was how I did this plan for years. I would do Monday to Friday, and I'd find Monday to Friday, I'd actually, now just bear in mind, if you're doing this for shape, this may or may not work as well for the fat loss. So what I would find, Monday to Friday, I'd be losing. The weekend, I'd kind of balance it. You'd gain a little bit of muscle with that. And then Monday to Friday, you'd lose again. So you chip away. It wouldn't necessarily be the drive that you get from being on it all the time. You would chip away. And over time, you just get into a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better shape over time. Yes.
Yeah.
And
so
it does work.
I mean, that's the compromise, isn't it? It's, I wanted to feel in my head like I was feeling. So, and I don't want to lose loads of weight. So my compromise was, okay, I can stay on the high fat and have some of those carbs at the weekend only, and try and get that balance there. So I'm going to do that for the next 2 weeks, aren't I, to see how I feel.
Exactly. And to see how you feel and to get that rhythm. So you can have good low glycemic carbs. So good quality rye bread.
Yeah.
You'll get away with potatoes. And believe it or not, chips and roasted potatoes are actually better than, say, a boiled potato. They tend to be lower glycemic.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, you're just cutting out a little bit.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Sweet potatoes.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, but
so portion size. And that will all work. So good low.
And I can have if I really. Oh, you're just cutting out there. I can have a glass of red wine, can't I? Because that would be classed as a carb.
It will be.
Oh, I'm losing you a bit. Yes. Okay, cool. Yeah, because somebody here is just asking what carbs I can have at the weekend. So it's good carbs, good bread, rye bread, sweet potato, a glass of wine if I want. What about, can I have any dark chocolate?
Yes. You'll get away with that. Watch, with dark chocolate, do watch if you're someone that finds their sleep patterns aren't great. We often have our dark chocolate at night as a treat. It does interfere with some people's sleep more than they might realize. So if you fall into that bracket, do watch the dark chocolate. But from this point of view of what we're talking about here, yes, you can. You can.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. Because the other thing that I really missed on the high fat diet was my Greek yogurt. So I can have that as well at the weekends, can't I?
Yes.
That's protein.
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
And slightly less sweet fruit. So just not really sweet fruit, berries and what would have been traditionally a bit more sour, they'll be fine.
Yes.
They'll work too.
Brilliant.
They'll all work. Yes.
Okay, right. Okay. Let me just see if there's any questions, because I'm worried we're going to lose you because you're cutting out slightly. This is a high fat diet for somebody that was asking. And I think if anyone's got any questions, you can put them down below and myself and Dana will answer them.
A question that came through strong nutrients earlier, and apologies as I I didn't get the name of who asked it, but they asked, could we ask it tonight? It was to do with the keto breath if you're doing a high fat diet. Some people get it, some people don't. If you do get it, there's there's a few things you can do. Peppermint oil, good old fashioned, just like a pure essence peppermint oil, a drop or two solves it. You can slow down the plan by just a little bit by increasing the vegetables. So that can bring down it'll slow the result a little bit, but it'll just bring it out of it enough to get rid of the breath kind of side of it. Most don't get it, but some do. I mean, it's not uncommon, let's be fair. But that peppermint oil is often the easiest trick.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. That's good. Good tip. Good tip.
Is this okay for someone with rheumatoid arthritis? Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah. God, that good fat will be oiling those joints.
And you take all the inflammatory sugars out. So yes, I think it could be hugely helpful for that. Yes.
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 Yeah. Somebody here says, what are you trying to achieve? It's so complex. Basically, I'm trying to improve my mood. First and foremost is my mood. Secondly, to lose a tiny bit of weight, any excess sort of fat. But the most important thing was I really wanted this. It's a hormonal plan to help with menopause, depression, that kind of stuff, isn't it? So
yeah, and just to be clear, so the version you've just gone on to, so the first version is strict, and interestingly, it's not actually as complicated as it seems. It's actually incredibly simple.
No,
when you look at
it's so simple because there's not much choice. Yeah.
Yes, it's very simple. Now the fats give it lots of flavor, but it's very simple. What we're talking about now is for somebody who wants, so my experience with this, for doing it with years with clients, you get a certain percentage of clients that, oh my gosh, it's almost like genetically they respond to this plan. Everything, energy levels go up, mood goes up, sleep improves. It's like every facet of themselves, if you like, changes for the better. And then there's always the question of, can I stay on it? Now, other people will feel well on it. They'll have good energy on it. They'll sleep well, but it won't be as dramatic, in which case they're quite happy to do a little bit, get the fat down or get the body into fat metabolism, stabilize insulin, and then come off it into a more normal, in inverted commas, way of eating that we might all consider more normal. And then you get some people, well, I'm going to be straight up, some people don't like a high fat at all. They don't suit it. They're much better on a low fat option. So this is not saying everybody's going to love this plan. And it is brilliant for the fat burning without question. And that's not just about fat loss. That's also about energy, because there's more calories per gram of fat. When your body is able to jump into your own fat stores, it means you don't get the highs and the lows that you get when you in sugar burning. And as you've experienced, mentally, you can be much sharper and much clearer on the back of it. So that's kind of the overview. Brilliant. So the way we're going with you is very much because your body responded so well to it. It seems a shame not to have those benefits in life generally.
Exactly. I know. It's such a hard bargain, but it is. I think, I'm swaying that I've got to stay on it to some big degree because I want that feeling that I've had.
The mental clarity. Because our brains really operate on a fat basis. They really do. And I say what I'm about to say next cautiously. I'm not saying this is a definitive statement, but once upon a time, Alzheimer's was being considered diabetes. You've got type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes. It was considered type 3 diabetes. In other words, they connected it with sugar and insulin. Now, they're not saying that so much anymore, but there was a lot of research to show that inflammatory aspect of the sugars really doesn't help the brain. And that's what they were looking to call it before they called it and went in a slightly different direction with it. So from the brain function, those fats really help, and bringing the inflammatory sugars out really helps, even if it's for a short time, to almost reset the body. Somebody's just asked, how long would you stay on it? So that's a great question. And for the benefits of training your body back into fat metabolism, and if you are doing it for fat loss, to kind of keep that fat off, the minimum I'd recommend is 8 days. And that seems to do it beautifully. And then I would say, how well do you feel and how well are you getting on? Most of my clients will do it for about 10 to 14 days. Some do it for 3 or 4 weeks. And again, they will make the decision at that point. If they're feeling really good and if they're looking from a fat loss perspective to lose weight as such, and it's working, then there's no reason not to stay on it for a bit longer. But 8 days actually does the job.
God, yeah, honestly. Somebody here says, if you're eating more protein and trying to build more muscle, is it usual to initially weigh heavier on the scales?
Now, if you're on I think there's two questions here, so are things that I need to clarify. If we're on a high fat plan, it is good for protecting muscle, relatively speaking. So in other words, some diets you lose a lot of muscle, but it's not a muscle building diet in this format. It's more for fat loss than muscle gain. On a high fat plan, if you want to gain muscle and not lose fat, then you've two options. You can increase the protein and go for the higher end, or I don't want to make this too complicated. Very small little carbohydrate cheats are fantastic for building muscle on a high fat plan. But if we're talking about generally, then we're going to look at protein in a completely different way. That's where the really comes in. So if it's not to do with the high fat, then building muscle is all about protein. And yes, muscle is tissue. It will weigh. It doesn't weigh more than fat. I love the line when people say a pound of muscle weighs more than a pound of fat. A pound is a pound is a pound. They weigh the same, but it's smaller. It's smaller. It's like the one which is heavier,
Smaller,
pound of fat,
tighter,
pound of gold. Yeah, it's smaller.
Yeah.
So if you put on a
and in
pound
fact,
of muscle and lose
I'm not even weighing myself, am I? My scales don't work, so I'm not even weighing myself actually. I just can tell by my clothes and how I'm feeling.
Yes.
Yeah. Somebody here just said, how can they do the plan? Well, I will put up in the stories Xana's book, and it's all in Xana's book, and it's such a brilliant book, such a brilliant book. I'll put that up in stories and a link to that after this live.
Perfect.
Brilliant. Well, I think we've answered all the questions.
Brilliant. Well, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing how you get on this stage, because it's not one I do very often with clients. So for everyone out there, what I'm doing with Donna is slightly different to what I normally recommend. And it is back to the reason we said at the beginning, you were doing so well. Somebody says after the initial 8 to 10 days, where do you go after that? This is the whole point of this conversation. So with Donna, we're doing a slightly different version of it, because the results from the mental perspective were so good on this. So we're doing a modified version, which, as I said, I did for years. So it's not that I don't know this version. I just often don't recommend it for clients because they tend to go a bit gray on it, and then it's not ideal. Most clients, I will reduce the fat back, bring carbs back in, not huge amounts, so maybe 3-4 days a week, a low glycemic type carb, and then your vegetables and fruit are back in. As a rule, I find there's two general rules, and I won't go into this in too much detail, but the general overview of where to go to next, I find can work very well. Now, it does vary a little from one client to the next, but the overview is, most find they automatically intermittent fast on a high fat plan. It happens almost always, it happens by itself. So you keep with that. You keep the intermittent fasting, that 16 hour gap from the evening to the next day. You keep the no snacking game in. You don't snack. You keep the gaps between the meals. You reduce the fat all the way down, but in its place, you have a bit more protein, and you can start bringing in a bit more, as I said, like 3 or 4 days a week, a good low glycemic carbohydrate, and vegetables. All the vegetables can come back in. A bit of fruit can come back in. So it all becomes much more normal. The overview, I would say, for anyone going on a high fat plan and coming off a high fat plan, if there's only one thing to remember, and it's only one thing, then it's the following: come off it. In other words, if you fall in love with cream in your coffee, stop. Don't keep going with it.
That's right. So once you introduce that more protein, more carbs, you've got to bring all that fat back down.
Get the fat out. A little bit of fat's good, but don't, the avocado, the cream cheese, the nuts, don't keep them up and just reintroduce your foods. That's a disaster. if you get the fat out, you could go right back to what you were doing before and you won't put it all back on. Not in my experience, you won't. If you keep the fat in, so don't just get the fat out. That's the only rule. That's really the only rule.
Yeah. It does. It sounds slightly complicated, but it's really not once you're on it and you're doing it. And actually, in your book, it's really clear in how you explain it all. So, so I would suggest having a look at Xana's book.
And may I answer that one last question, because I love this one, and it is McCluskey 3985. Hello. Will this plan be okay with migraines? I find that super interesting. I need to answer this cautiously, because migraines are migraines are migraines, and there's not enough. I don't know enough, and I don't think there's enough known about all the different triggers. But I have had clients where the migraines completely vanished on a high fat. When they got the inflammatory sugars out, and they were suddenly able to eat. So, like, I had one client in particular years ago that if she touched cream cheese, she'd get a migraine. On a high fat, she could eat her way through it all day, every day, without getting one. And often it's the whole juxtaposition mix of all these foods. So I say cautiously, yes, and cautiously I say it might help improve it. I can't say that categorically, but in my experience, it has improved it.
Yeah, I mean, you would imagine that it could only but help. That's what you would think, wouldn't you? All that amazing fats back into the head, you would think.
Yeah.
So,
and all the inflammation is out. And the insulin stabilized and that stability back again. Yes. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, excellent. All right, well, thanks, Xan. And then we're going to pick up again in a couple of weeks, so you can see the next part.
We are. We can feed in. And if people do have questions on it, please do ask here. As in, if you are getting the book and you've just lots of questions, just ask, and I'll do my best to answer as many of them as I can when I can. And you can do it through Strong Nutrients too. They come back to me and we make our way through them. Brilliant. Donna, you're doing great. You're doing great. You really are. It's brilliant.
I've loved it. I've loved it. Most of the time.
Yes.
All right. Yes. Thanks, Anna. Thanks, everyone, for joining.
Thank you.
I'll see you soon.
Much. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.